How do you celebrate a $58 million deal with your own family, then end up walking out because a guard warned you your drink was tampered with? Why would anyone do that in a crowded dining room with cameras and witnesses everywhere? And how did the next 15 minutes turn my family celebration into a legal situation I could not ignore? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. My name is Grant Lewis. I am 59. I do not talk loud, and I do not move fast. People often think that means I do not notice things. They are wrong. A week before this happened, I sold my company for $58 million. I had built it from a small rented room and 2 used desks. I did not inherit it. Nobody handed it to me. I worked late nights for years. I missed holidays. I missed games. I missed sleep. I always told myself it was for my family. When the sale closed, I did not feel like a hero. I felt tired. I also felt relieved. I wanted one clean night with my son and his wife. Not a loud party, not a crowd, just dinner, a toast, and a simple moment to breathe. My son, Liam, is 31. He is confident in the way people are confident when they are being watched. He likes attention. He speaks like he is already leading a room, even when it is not his room. His wife, Chloe, is 29. She is polished. She watches faces the way some people watch clocks. She is kind when it helps her. She is cold when she thinks kindness is not needed. I booked a table at the best restaurant in town. It was the kind of place where the doors felt heavy and the air smelled like citrus and clean wood. The lighting was soft. The music was low. Every server moved like they were part of a quiet plan. I arrived early. I do that by habit. I checked the reservation with the host. I asked for a table where we could talk without people leaning in. The host smiled and said the table was ready. I sat down and looked around. There were couples in dark jackets, older friends laughing quietly, and business people leaning close to each other. Nobody was loud. Nobody was messy. It felt safe. I ordered water first. I do not drink much when I am out. I like a clear head. I also ordered a juice because I had not eaten much that day. It seemed simple. When Liam and Chloe arrived, Liam did not look at the room the way I did. He looked for eyes on him. Chloe scanned the space, then fixed her smile like she was stepping onto a stage. Liam said the place looked expensive. Chloe said it was perfect and that I did well. I thanked them. I stood up, pulled out Chloe's chair, and sat again. I like old habits. They keep me steady. At first, the talk was normal. Liam asked about the sale. He said he was proud. Chloe asked what I planned to do next. I said I wanted to rest and think. I said I wanted to slow down for a while. Liam made a small laugh and said slowing down was not really my style. He said I would get bored. Chloe said I needed hobbies, like golf or travel. She said I needed to enjoy life. I listened, I nodded, I did not argue. When people say enjoy life, they often mean spend money where we can see it. The server came over and asked about drinks. Liam ordered something fancy. Chloe ordered something light. I asked again for water and the juice. Liam's tone shifted as soon as the server left. He started speaking like he was in charge of the night. He said we should take photos. He said he should post something, since everyone already knew about the sale. Chloe agreed and said it would look strange if we did not share the moment. I told them I did not care about posting. Liam said people would think something was wrong if we stayed quiet. Chloe said people like stories, and we should give them a good one. That line stayed with me. People like stories. I had spent years doing work. Liam and Chloe were focused on a story. When the appetizers came, Liam talked about how the sale changed our family. He used that word again and again. He said, we did it. He said, we made it. He said this was the start of a new chapter for all of us. I did not correct him. I could have said it was my company, my name, my risk, my years, but I did not want a fight at the table. I did not want to turn a celebration into a scorecard. Chloe watched me while Liam spoke. She waited for me to react. When I did not, she seemed satisfied. It was like she wanted me quiet. Quiet was easier to shape. The main dishes came. The food was good. I could not deny that. But the mood kept tilting. Liam kept checking his phone. Chloe kept adjusting small things, like her napkin and her hair, as if she was preparing for a photo at any moment. I tried to bring the talk back to something real. I asked Liam how work was going. He shrugged and said work was fine. He said he might leave and do something bigger. He said he had ideas. He said he was ready to step up. I asked what step up meant. He said it meant not waiting around anymore. He said it meant being the one who calls the shots. Chloe nodded like this was a plan they had already rehearsed. Then Liam looked at me and said he hoped I would not hold on to control too long. He said older men sometimes do not know when to pass things over. He said it with a smile, like it was a joke, but his eyes were steady. I told him I understood. I kept my voice calm. I said I had no interest in controlling other adults. I said I wanted peace. Chloe leaned in slightly and said peace was good, but structure was better. She said families need structure. She said money needs structure too. I did not respond right away. I took a sip of water. I listened to the soft music. I let the silence sit there for a moment. Liam broke it by saying the night should be fun, not serious. He said the dance floor was open. He asked Chloe if she wanted to dance. Chloe said yes quickly, like she had been waiting for it. Liam stood up and held out his hand. Chloe took it. They both looked at me like I was supposed to clap. I gave a small smile. I told them to enjoy. I watched them walk away. They moved toward the dance floor, where a few couples were swaying slowly. Liam held Chloe close, and Chloe rested her head in a perfect angle, like she knew exactly where the light would catch her face. It looked tender from far away. It also looked practiced. I stayed at the table alone. I did not mind. I have been alone at tables before. I built a whole life around being the one who stayed late. I looked at the glasses. My water was near my right hand. The juice was near my left. Liam and Chloe's glasses were on their side of the table. Everything looked normal. I noticed a man pass near the table. He was not a server. He wore a dark jacket, like staff, but he did not carry anything. He moved with purpose. He slowed for half a second near the edge of the table, then kept going. I did not jump to conclusions. I simply watched. I have trained myself to watch without reacting. A few minutes later, another person approached. He was larger, with a calm posture. He had the look of someone who stands near doors for a living. He did not smile too much. He did not rush. He came to the side of my chair and leaned in slightly so his voice would not carry. He said he was security. He said he needed to tell me something quietly. He said he saw someone put something into my juice while my son and his wife were on the dance floor. He said he could not ignore it. I did not ask him to repeat it. I did not raise my voice. I did not look around to see who was watching. I only asked him if he was sure. He said he was sure enough to warn me. He said he watched the hand, the glass, and the timing. He said it did not look accidental. In that moment, I felt something change in me. Not anger, not panic. It was more like a light turning on in a dark hallway. A clean, cold clarity. I looked at the juice again. It was the same color. Nothing obvious floated on top. It looked normal. That was the point. If it looked normal, nobody would stop it. I thanked the guard. I told him I appreciated the warning. I asked if he had told anyone else. He said he had not yet because he did not want to cause a scene without the right person involved. I nodded. I told him he did the right thing by speaking to me first. Then I stood up. I did not run. I did not shout. I did not wave Liam over. I did not pull Chloe away from the dance floor. I did not want a public scene. I wanted control. I picked up my phone. I placed my napkin neatly on the table. I walked toward the host stand. The host asked if everything was okay. I said I needed to leave early. I asked for the bill. The host seemed surprised, but he did not argue. He signaled for a manager. The manager came quickly. I paid in full. I added a tip. I kept my face calm. I did not explain. The manager thanked me and said he hoped to see me again. I walked past the dance floor. Liam and Chloe were still moving slowly, smiling at each other. They did not see me, or they did not want to see me. I did not stop to test which one it was. I stepped outside into the cooler air. The valet lane was bright with clean lights. Cars rolled in and out quietly. I gave my name to the valet. While I waited, I looked back through the glass doors. The dining room looked warm and calm. From the outside, everything looked perfect. My car arrived. I got in. I shut the door. The world became quiet. I sat there for a second, hands on the steering wheel, and I breathed out slowly. I did not feel fear. I felt something worse. I felt the thin edge of betrayal, sharp and calm. I started the engine and drove away without looking back. I drove home with the radio off. The city lights felt soft and far away, like I was behind glass. At a red light, my phone lit up on the passenger seat. I did not touch it. I waited until I was in my driveway. Inside my garage, I sat for a moment and looked at the screen. There were missed calls from Liam. There were messages from Chloe. There were also numbers I did not recognize. The messages were not worried. They were sharp and busy. Liam asked where I went. Chloe asked if I was trying to make a point. One unknown number wrote that a meeting had been set and that my signature was needed in the morning. I walked into my kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. My hands were steady. I sat at the table and read everything again, slowly. Liam sent another message saying I embarrassed them. Chloe sent one saying I ruined a special night and that I should not be dramatic. That word stayed with me, dramatic. I had left quietly, I had paid the bill, I had not raised my voice. If that was dramatic to them, it meant they expected me to sit and accept anything. I texted Liam back and told him I was fine and I went home. I told him he could enjoy the rest of the night. I did not mention the warning. I did not accuse anyone. I did not ask questions over text. People like Liam do not answer questions. They answer with noise. Liam called right away. I let it ring. I was not ready to listen to his version of events. I knew what he would say. He would say I was overreacting. He would say I was tired. He would say I misunderstood. He would say it was all a mistake. He would say I should stop being difficult. I went to my home office and sat at my desk. The room was quiet. I keep it clean. I have one lamp, one notebook, and a small shelf of old project folders. I opened my notebook and wrote down the time I left the restaurant. I wrote down the time the first unknown number messaged me. I wrote down the words they used. I did not try to solve the whole thing in one night. I only captured what was real. That was my habit from work. When something breaks, you do not guess. You do not shout. You measure. You record. You check the pattern. The pattern did not start at the restaurant. It had been building for years. When Liam was younger, he was a sweet child. He wanted to build things. He would sit near my desk and play with spare parts. I used to think he would grow into someone steady, but as he got older, he started chasing approval like it was air. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be praised. He wanted shortcuts. When my company started doing well, Liam started telling people he was part of it. At first, I did not mind. I thought it was pride, but then I noticed he only said it when it helped him. He did not come by the office when we were struggling. He did not ask what problems we were solving. He only showed up when there was a photo or a nice dinner. I still tried to pull him closer. I paid for his school. I helped with his first apartment deposit. When he had a job change, I listened without judgment. I did all the things a father does when he thinks patience will teach responsibility. Then Chloe came into the picture. I met her at a family gathering. She was polite and bright. She asked me about my work, but not in a curious way. It was more like she was mapping something. When I told her what I did, she smiled and said it must be nice to have built something real. Liam looked proud beside her, like he had brought home a prize. At first, Chloe was warm to me. She brought small gifts. She remembered birthdays. She said she respected family values. But slowly, the tone shifted. She began to speak about money as if it was a living thing that needed careful handling. She liked phrases like protection and security and simplifying. She said older people should not have to worry about details. She said families should centralize decisions. I remember one early moment clearly. It was a Sunday lunch at my house. Chloe watched me fix a loose cabinet hinge in my kitchen. It was a simple thing. She smiled and said Liam should learn those little skills because one day he would be the one taking care of everything. She said it like she was already moving my chair away from the table. Liam laughed and agreed. He said I was good with my hands, but I was not modern. He said the world was changing. He said he and Chloe would help me stay current. I did not argue then. I thought it was just young talk. I thought it would fade. It did not fade. It grew. When the wedding planning started, Chloe became intense. She spoke about the venue, the photos, the guest list. She wanted a certain look. Liam followed her lead. They told me what they needed, and I provided it. I did not do it because I felt forced. I did it because I wanted Liam to start his marriage without stress. After the wedding, I noticed something else. Chloe started posting about family often. She posted photos of Liam with my car, Liam in my office, Liam near the company building. She did not post me unless I was standing slightly behind them. When people commented, she replied as if Liam was the main link to the success. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was social media. But the small choices add up. A person's position in photos becomes their position in real life, if you let it. There was another shift after Liam's job began to stall. He complained that his manager did not see his potential. He said he was surrounded by people who did not understand him. Chloe began to talk about family responsibility. She said it was not right that Liam had to answer to someone else when his father had built a company. She said it was time for Liam to step into a better lane. Liam started coming around more often, but not to spend time. He came with questions. He asked how much I planned to keep. He asked what my retirement plan was. He asked how the sale process would work if I ever sold. He asked if I had already picked a structure. I told him I had professional advisors. I told him I was handling it carefully. He nodded, but he did not look satisfied. Chloe would lean back and say she was glad I had help because older people can get overwhelmed. Older people. She said it with a calm smile, as if she was being kind. I was 59, not confused. I was still working full days. Then Noah entered the picture. Noah was Liam's friend, around Liam's age. He had quick eyes and a smooth voice. Liam introduced him as someone who understood finance and arrangements. Noah started showing up at events he was not invited to, like he had always been part of the family. The first time I met Noah properly, we were at a small dinner with Liam and Chloe. Noah talked about how common it was for families to streamline control when a big deal happens. He said people can get taken advantage of if they do not lock things down fast. He said banks move slowly unless you push. He said signatures should be handled with urgency. I listened and asked him what his role was. He smiled and said he just liked helping friends. He said he had seen families lose money because the older generation waited too long. I told him I appreciated the concern and I did not need help. He nodded, but he did not stop. Over the months, I received more calls from unknown numbers. I got emails forwarded by Liam that looked official, telling me to confirm meetings or review forms. Liam would say it was easier if I just signed what they sent. Chloe would say they were trying to reduce stress for me. She would say it was love. I have spent my life reading fine print. I do not sign things because someone smiles. So I kept saying no, politely. I said I would review things through my own channels. I said I had my own timeline. That is when the disrespect sharpened. Liam began to talk down to me in small ways. He would interrupt me and finish my sentences like I was slow. Chloe would correct me on details in front of other people, even when she was wrong. If I spoke about my plans, she would tilt her head and say it sounded confusing. At one family gathering, Liam said I needed to stop being stubborn. He said I was making things hard for everyone. Chloe said she worried I was letting pride get in the way of what was best for the family. I asked what was best for the family. Liam said it was trust. He said it was unity. He said it was him being able to handle things without having to ask. Chloe nodded and said stability matters. They spoke as if I was a door they wanted to walk through. They spoke as if my role was to open and move aside. So when the restaurant incident happened, it did not feel random. It felt like a pressure point. It felt like they were trying to create a moment where I would be off balance, then they would rush in with a solution. Back in my kitchen that night, I looked at the messages again. The unknown number said a courier was ready. It said the meeting was already placed on the calendar. It said it was urgent. I finally answered Liam's call. I kept my voice even. He demanded to know where I went and why I left. He said Chloe was upset. He said people saw me leave and it looked bad. He said I made them look like they did not matter. I told him I was tired and I went home. I told him the restaurant was lovely. I told him I would talk another day. He pushed harder. He said I had to stop acting like everything was on my schedule. He said the sale meant things needed to move quickly now. I asked him why things needed to move quickly. He paused. Then he said it was just standard. He said the bank had steps. He said it was easier if we handled it as a family. He said Chloe had already set up a meeting in the morning at a private banking office. I told him I did not agree to any meeting. He said I did not need to agree because it was for my benefit. Chloe took the phone for a moment and said I should not be difficult. She said I should show trust. She said a good father would not make his son beg. I told her I was not making anyone beg. I told her I would review my calendar and decide what I would attend. I ended the call. Then I did one simple thing. I turned my phone face down. I washed my glass. I went back to my office and wrote another line in my notebook. I wrote, "They are rushing. Rushing is the tell." In the morning, I woke up before my alarm. I did not feel tired. I felt alert, like my mind was standing in a doorway. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table with my phone. I opened my calendar. The private banking appointment was already there, like Liam said. It had a clean title and a long list of attendees. Some were names I did not know. One line said guest. Another line said advisor. None of those people had ever been part of my personal banking. I read the location. It was not my usual branch. It was a private office across town, inside a newer building with glass walls and security at the lobby. Then I checked my email. There was a message forwarded from Liam. The subject line sounded official. It said something about authorization and streamlined access. Liam wrote a short note above it. He said it was normal. He said it would save time. He said I should not overthink it. I did not open the attachment. I did not reply. Instead, I opened my notebook again. I wrote the time. I wrote the bank address. I wrote the words authorization and streamlined access. I wrote the names from the invite list. I copied them exactly. Then I called my accountant, Marta Sloan. Marta has been with me for over 15 years. She is careful. She does not panic. She does not flatter. She reads numbers like some people read faces. She picked up on the second ring. I told her I needed to ask a few questions. I kept my voice calm. I asked if anyone had contacted her recently about my personal accounts, or about the sale money through Liam or Chloe. Marta paused. Then she said yes. She said there had been information requests. She said they were framed as convenience. She said they came with urgency. She said she did not respond because she did not have my direct approval. I asked what names were on those requests. Marta read them out. One of them matched the invite list in my calendar. Another was Noah Price. I thanked her. I told her to keep everything on hold unless she heard my voice directly. She said she understood. She said she had already done that. Her tone was steady, but I could hear concern under it. After that call, I sat still for a few minutes. I looked at the sunlight on my kitchen floor. Everything felt normal in the house, but the situation was not normal. When someone tries to rush paperwork, it usually means they are trying to beat a clock. The question was what clock they were watching. I decided to talk to the security guard again, not at the restaurant, not by phone. I wanted a simple conversation in a neutral place where nobody would feel pushed. I drove to a coffee shop near the bank building. It was quiet, with soft music and simple tables. I chose a seat where I could see the door. Omar came in a few minutes later. He was dressed like a regular customer, not like staff. He moved carefully, like someone who pays attention to exits. He sat down and kept his voice low. He said he did not want trouble. He said he only wanted to do the right thing. I told him I understood. I told him I was grateful. I told him I would not pull him into drama. I used that word on purpose. Drama is what people like Liam expect. Procedure is what people like me use. Omar described what he saw again. He said it happened when my son and his wife went to the dance floor. He said a man approached my table from the side with a staff jacket. He said the man moved his hand near my juice glass. He said it was quick, like he had done it before. He said the man did not look around like an innocent person. He looked around like someone checking timing. Omar said he followed the man at a distance. He said the man did not go back to the kitchen area like staff normally do. He said he moved toward a hallway that led to a side door. I asked Omar one question. I asked if he recognized the man as a regular staff member. Omar said no. He said he had not seen him before. He said the jacket looked real, but that does not mean it was real. I nodded. I did not say what I was thinking. I did not want to load Omar with my guesses. I only wanted facts. I asked Omar if the restaurant had cameras in that area. Omar said yes. He said the dining room had coverage, and the hallway also had coverage. He said the restaurant keeps access logs for staff areas. He said there were ways to check who was on shift and who was not. I did not ask him to show me anything. I did not ask him to pull footage. I told him I would handle this properly. Omar looked relieved. He said he was worried I would confront people at the restaurant or cause a public scene. He said he had seen situations turn messy when emotions take over. I told him that was not my style. I told him I did not need to be loud to be serious. Before we stood up, Omar said one more thing. He said he noticed my son did not react when I left. He said my son kept dancing for a while. Omar said that was unusual because most people would chase after a father who left early. That detail hit me harder than the warning itself, not because it proved anything, but because it matched the pattern. Liam cared about appearances. If he thought I left for a harmless reason, he would have followed to protect the image. If he did not follow, it meant he either did not care or he was not surprised. I thanked Omar again. I told him if anyone contacted him, he should keep it simple and say he would speak only through the proper channels. He nodded and said he would. When Omar left, I stayed at the table and looked at the bank building through the window. People walked in and out with clean coats and briefcases. It was the kind of place where everyone assumes paperwork means truth. I opened my phone and scrolled through messages from the last few months. I did not do it to punish myself. I did it to see the story clearly. I noticed the same theme repeating: urgency, convenience, and pressure, always with a smile. I started making a timeline in my notes. I wrote dates of key conversations. I wrote down the times Liam mentioned structure. I wrote down every time Chloe used words like simplify and centralize. I wrote down when Noah first appeared. Then I called Priya Nand. Priya is not a close friend, but she is someone I trust. We met years ago when my company needed an agreement reviewed. She is calm and direct. She does not get pulled into emotion. She gets pulled into facts. When she answered, I told her I needed advice about a family situation tied to financial access and unusual pressure. I did not accuse anyone of a crime. I did not tell her a dramatic story. I gave her dates, messages, and the sequence around the restaurant night. Priya listened. Then she asked a few focused questions. She asked who set the meeting. She asked who else was invited. She asked whether I had signed anything recently. She asked if anyone had tried to frame me as confused or not up to details. That last question made my stomach tighten, Because yes, they had. Chloe had been planting that idea in small ways for a long time. She said it like kindness, but it was always the same message. She wanted other people to see me as a man who should step aside. I told Priya I had not signed anything. I told her the meeting invite included names I did not approve. I told her my accountant received requests that she did not answer. Priya told me to keep doing what I was doing. She told me to avoid arguments by message. She told me to keep notes. She told me to make sure my professionals only accept directions from me, directly. She also told me to be careful about meetings where others pre-arrange outcomes. I asked her if I should cancel the bank meeting. Priya said that was my choice. She said sometimes it is useful to attend, not to agree, but to observe. She said I should not go alone if I do attend. She said I should keep things formal and calm. I told her I understood. After I ended the call, I felt the switch fully settle into place. I was not angry. I was not scared. I was simply done being treated like a door. I drove to Marta's office next. Marta's office is not fancy. It is clean and practical. There are shelves with labeled binders and a small plant near the window. Marta greeted me, offered water, and closed the door. She showed me a printout of the requests she had received. She did not hand them to me like a dramatic reveal. She slid them across the table like routine. That was how Marta works. Everything is routine until it is proven otherwise. I did not read every word. I only noted the pattern. The language was about access, authority, and ease. It was written like the decision was already made. It was written like my role was to agree, not to decide. Marta said something else that mattered. She said the timing of those requests increased right before the restaurant dinner. She said the requests were quiet at first, then they became frequent. She said it was like someone got impatient. I thanked her again. I told her I wanted her to keep copies of everything. I told her not to communicate with Liam or Chloe about my accounts. She said she would not. She said she never should have, and she never did. On the drive home, I passed the warehouse where my company once stored early equipment. I remembered loading boxes myself. I remembered cleaning the floor on weekends. I remembered how nobody cared about my image back then. They cared about whether the system worked. That memory grounded me. It reminded me who I am when people stop clapping. At home, I sat in my office and opened a drawer. Inside were old folders from earlier business phases. Not because I like living in the past, but because I keep records. Records are boring. Records are also powerful. I did not pull out anything dramatic. I did not lay papers across the desk like a movie. I simply put a fresh folder on the table and wrote one word on it: timeline. Then I made another folder: messages, then another: meetings. I took screenshots of the bank invite. I saved the names. I saved the forwarded email subject line. I saved Liam's text that said I should not overthink and that I should sign quickly. I also wrote a short note to myself: do not explain, do not argue, do not defend, observe, and document. In the afternoon, Liam called again. This time I answered. He tried to sound friendly, but he was tense. He asked if I was coming to the bank meeting. He said they already booked the time. He said it would be quick. I told him I saw the invite. I told him I did not approve the attendee list. I told him I would decide what I attend and who I meet. He went quiet for a beat. Then he said I was being difficult again. He said I was making Chloe anxious. He said I needed to show trust. I told him trust does not require rushing. I told him I would handle my affairs properly and calmly. I told him if he wanted dinner, we could do dinner another day. Liam's voice sharpened. He said I was acting like people were out to get me. He said I was reading into things. He said I was tired and stressed, and maybe I should let the younger generation help. I did not react. I did not argue. I simply said I heard him. Then I ended the call. When the call ended, I stared at my phone for a moment. I did not feel pain. I felt clarity. They were not asking me to share a celebration. They were trying to control the situation while I was still smiling. And now I had stopped smiling. The next day, I did not rush to cancel the bank meeting. I also did not rush to attend like a man being pulled by a rope. I treated it like any other situation where people tried to make a decision for me. I called the private banking office from my own number. I asked the receptionist to confirm the appointment time. I asked who scheduled it. The receptionist said it was scheduled by a caller who claimed to be family, and it was labeled as time sensitive. I said I understood. I said I would attend, but I would set the rules for who could be in the room with me. I said I did not agree to extra guests or outside advisors without my direct approval. The receptionist hesitated. Then she said she would note my request. She said a banker would call me back. 10 minutes later, a banker called. Her name was Elaine Chen. Her tone was smooth, but not soft. She sounded like someone trained to keep a straight line. Elaine said she understood there was a family meeting planned. She said she wanted to confirm what I wanted before anyone sat down. I told her I wanted a normal banking conversation with only the required staff. I told her I did not want third parties in the room. I also told her I would not sign anything at that meeting. Elaine did not argue. She said that was fine. She said the office takes privacy seriously. She said she would make sure the meeting followed policy. That call alone told me something. If policy mattered, then the rush tactics were not normal. They were pressure. I drove to the building that afternoon, not for the meeting itself, but to see the setting. The lobby had a desk with a guard and a sign-in screen. The walls were glass. There were cameras in corners, quiet and steady. People in that kind of place do not like surprises. I stood back and watched the flow. I watched how names were checked. I watched how visitors were handled. If Liam planned to walk in with a group and act like it was normal, he might face friction he did not expect. I left after 10 minutes. I did not announce myself. I did not meet anyone. I just observed. On the way home, my phone buzzed again. Chloe sent a message saying she was glad I was calming down. She said the meeting would help me feel safe. She said it was time to stop being stubborn and start being practical. I read it once and did not respond. I saved it. Then Liam sent a message saying the meeting would be quick if I did not make it complicated. He said Chloe was working hard to help me. He said I should appreciate it. I saved that too. That night I ate a simple meal at home and went back into my office. I kept the lights low. I opened my folder labeled Timeline and added the calls I made and the notes from Elaine. I added the lobby details, like the sign-in process and the visitor rules. Then I started another folder. I labeled it Policy. It sounds strange, but policy is where calm power lives. People like Liam like social pressure. They like to corner you with a smile and a room full of eyes. Policy does not care about smiles. The next morning, I met Priya at her office. Priya's building was older, with quiet hallways and simple doors. Her office was clean, with books and a small table. She offered tea. I said yes. I told Priya I wanted to keep everything calm and lawful. I told her I wanted to avoid accusing anyone in public. I told her I wanted to protect myself and also protect the truth. Priya said the best way to do that was to stay consistent. She said I should speak less, not more. She said I should not explain myself to people who were committed to misunderstanding. She said I should focus on systems that require proof. I told her about Elaine's call. Priya nodded. She said that was good. She said once a bank flags unusual pressure, it tends to become cautious. She said that caution would work in my favor if I stayed steady. Then she asked me if I wanted to report the restaurant incident to the restaurant management properly. She did not tell me what to do, she just asked. I said yes, but I wanted to do it quietly. I did not want a scene, I did not want rumors. I only wanted the situation documented in the right place. Priya said she could help me frame the request as a safety concern and a standard review. She said the restaurant may preserve footage for a limited time, so it was better to move with care and speed, not panic. I agreed. After I left Priya's office, I drove to a small office building where Marta worked. Marta greeted me with her usual steady expression. She asked if I slept. I said enough. I told Marta I wanted to tighten communication lines. I told her I wanted all financial communication to come to me directly. I told her I did not want forwarded messages or helpful intermediaries. I told her if anyone called claiming to represent me, she should ask them to put it in writing and then send it to me without response. Marta said she already worked that way, but she was glad I said it clearly. She said she had seen families turn messy after large sales. She said people change when they smell easy money. I asked her if she noticed any pattern in who was contacting her. She said the names were consistent. She said Noah's name appeared more than once. She said the language in the request sounded like it was copied from templates. Templates. That word mattered. It meant someone had a plan. Later that day, I got another call from Liam. I answered because I wanted to hear how he framed the next push. Liam sounded upbeat at first. He said Chloe booked a small closing celebration event at a hotel event hall. He said it would be tasteful. He said it would be good for networking. He said people wanted to congratulate me. I asked who people were. He said friends, business contacts, and a few advisors. He said it was not a big deal. I told him I did not agree to any event. Liam laughed softly and said it was already in motion. He said I did not have to do anything. He said all I had to do was show up and enjoy it. Chloe took the phone and said the event was a gift. She said I had spent years working, and now it was time to let others handle details. She said I should sit back and let Liam lead the night, because it was also his moment. I listened and said I heard her, and I said I would think about it. I did not say yes, I did not say no. When the call ended, I wrote the event date in my notebook. I did not circle it in red. I simply wrote it like a fact. Facts are safer than feelings. Over the next few days, Liam and Chloe became more confident. It was almost like they thought my silence meant surrender. Chloe started sending messages in a family group chat. She spoke about legacy. She spoke about the next chapter. She tagged people in photos from the restaurant night that I had not seen before. In the photos, I was either cropped out or placed at the edge. Liam started telling relatives that I was finally retiring. He said I was handing things over. He said it like he was already wearing a title. A cousin called me and asked if it was true. I told her I was healthy and I was fine. I told her I was still deciding my next steps. I did not say anything else. That same evening, an unknown number texted me again. It said the bank appointment was confirmed and all parties would be present. It said it was important to avoid delays. I saved it. I added it to my messages folder. Then I did one more careful step. I called the restaurant and asked to speak to a manager. I kept my voice calm. I said I had a safety concern from the night of my reservation. I said I wanted to make a formal note, quietly. I said a member of their security team had warned me about my drink. I said I left without making a scene, but I did not want the issue ignored. The manager sounded serious. He asked for the date and time. He asked where I was seated. I gave details. He said he would speak to security and review what they could. I did not ask him to accuse anyone. I did not tell him who I suspected. I simply said I wanted the situation preserved and handled properly. When I ended that call, I felt a small relief. Not because I had won anything, but because I had moved the situation out of private whisper space and into a system that keeps notes. That night, I sat in my office with my folders lined up neatly. Timeline, messages, meetings, policy. I was not building a revenge fantasy. I was building clarity. Liam and Chloe still thought this was a game of pressure and performance. They thought I would fold because I did not yell. They thought I would sign because it was easier than conflict. They did not understand something simple. I did not build a company by guessing. I built it by paying attention, documenting what mattered, and using the proper process when others tried to bend it. And now, they had given me enough to start doing the same thing at home. The week moved in a strange way after that. The days looked normal from the outside, but every small detail felt loaded. I still woke up early, I still made coffee, I still paid my bills, and answered routine emails. But I did it with the steady focus of a man checking a checklist. Liam kept acting like everything was already decided. He sent me short messages with cheerful words that carried pressure underneath. He said the bank meeting was confirmed. He said the hotel event was in motion. He said I did not need to worry because he and Chloe had it handled. Chloe added her own messages. She wrote about how proud she was. She wrote about family unity. She wrote about how good it would look when I stood beside them. I did not answer most of it, not because I wanted to punish them. I simply refused to feed the energy they were trying to build. If I replied, they would twist it into a new argument or a new reason I was difficult. Silence gave them less material. Instead, I kept doing quiet steps. I called Elaine again. I told her I wanted the meeting to be formal and private. I told her I wanted only bank staff in the room, plus anyone the bank required for policy. I told her that if anyone arrived claiming to represent me, they did not have my permission. I asked her to note that clearly. Elaine's voice stayed even. She said the note was already in my file. She said their office follows identity procedures and consent procedures. She said she would make sure the meeting stayed within policy. She did not promise me outcomes. She promised procedure. That was what I needed. After that call, I went to Priya's office again. I did not tell Liam or Chloe. I did not announce anything in the family chat. I kept it simple. Priya walked me through what to do and what not to do. She reminded me to keep my tone calm and my words short. She told me to avoid emotional statements, even if people tried to pull them out of me. She said facts are clean, and clean facts travel well through institutions. I spent over an hour in that office. We reviewed my timeline and my saved messages. Priya asked me to confirm dates, times, and names. She asked me to write down details I might forget later. She asked me to keep my notebook consistent, with no missing days and no gaps. Before I left, Priya gave me one clear instruction. She told me not to warn anyone about what I was doing. She said warnings give people time to shift their story. She said I did not owe anyone an early preview. I agreed. That part was easy. I was not looking for a fight. I was looking for an end. From Priya's office, I drove to Marta's place. I wanted one more calm check-in. Marta did not smile much, but I could tell she was relieved to see me steady. She asked if Liam had contacted her again. I told her yes, indirectly, through forwarded messages and helpful language. Marta said she would continue to ignore anything that did not come from me. Then Marta said something important. She said Chloe had asked a relative to talk sense into me. Marta did not know the exact words, but she heard it through a common contact. Marta said Chloe was telling people I was overwhelmed and stubborn and that I needed support. I nodded and wrote it down later. It was not new, but it mattered. It meant they were trying to build a social story around me, the same way Chloe built stories online with photos. That evening, my cousin called again. She did not sound angry. She sounded confused. She said she heard the hotel event would be a big celebration and that I should be happy. She asked why I was being quiet. I told her I was happy the sale was complete. I told her I was also a private person. I told her I did not like big attention. I did not say more. She accepted it. Some people do not need drama to feel close. After I ended the call, I looked at the family group chat. Chloe had posted another message with a bright tone. She mentioned the hotel event again and thanked people in advance for supporting Liam. And not supporting me, supporting Liam. Liam added a message saying it was time to celebrate the new era. He wrote like he was already the head of the table. I did not respond. I saved screenshots. The next day, I received a call from the restaurant manager. He said they took my report seriously. He said they spoke to security and reviewed their internal notes. He said they could not discuss details over the phone, but he thanked me for bringing it to them quietly. He said they were tightening access checks for staff jackets and service areas. I thanked him and ended the call. That was enough for me. I did not need a dramatic apology. I needed the situation documented and treated as real. After that, I visited the warehouse area where my company started. I did not go inside. I just parked nearby and sat for a few minutes. It helped me remember the difference between real work and performance. Real work is quiet. Performance is loud. Liam's world was performance. My world was process. The day before the bank meeting, Liam came by my house without warning. I saw his car through the front window. He walked up with that confident step, like he was coming to manage a situation. I let him in. I did not greet him with warmth or coldness. I greeted him like an adult. He sat at my kitchen table and looked around as if checking what kind of mood he would find. He told me I was creating stress. He said Chloe was trying hard to help. He said I was making it harder than it had to be. He said I should stop acting like everyone was against me. He said the bank meeting would fix everything if I just cooperated. I listened. I kept my hands on the table. I did not fold my arms. I did not lean forward. I stayed neutral. When he finished, I told him I would attend the meeting. I told him I would follow the bank's process. I told him I would not sign anything on pressure. I told him this was not personal. It was simply the correct way to handle financial matters. Liam frowned. He said I was treating him like a stranger. He said he was my son. He said I should trust him. I told him trust is built through respect. I told him that if he respected my boundaries, the whole thing would feel simple. I said it calmly. I did not accuse. I did not insult. I only stated it. Liam stood up quickly. He said I was impossible. He said Chloe was right about me being stubborn. He said the hotel event would happen with or without my enthusiasm. I told him I understood. I told him he should drive safely. He left without looking back. After he left, I cleaned the same cup he used. I wiped the same spot on the table, not because he was dirty, because I needed a small ritual to reset my mind. Small, normal tasks keep me steady when other people try to pull me into emotion. That night, I prepared as if I were going to a normal appointment. I laid out simple clothes, I charged my phone, I printed my calendar page for the week and put it in my notebook. I packed a small folder, not thick, not dramatic. It held nothing flashy. It held only my notes and a list of dates and names. I went to sleep early. I slept lightly, but enough. In the morning, I woke up to more messages. Chloe wrote that she hoped I would behave well at the bank meeting. She wrote that it would be embarrassing if I acted confused in front of professionals. She wrote that I should let Liam speak because he was better with people. I read it twice. Then I saved it and put my phone away. That message did not scare me. It clarified something. They were not only trying to access money, they were trying to shape how others saw me. If they could plant the idea that I was not sharp anymore, it would make everything else easier for them. I ate a small breakfast and drank water. I did not touch juice. That choice was not fear, it was discipline. Before I left, I checked my notebook one more time. I checked that every entry had a date and a time. I checked that names were spelled correctly. I checked that my timeline was clean and simple. Then I drove to the bank building. The lobby looked the same as when I visited earlier. The guard stood behind the desk. The sign-in screen glowed. Cameras watched quietly. I parked, stepped out, and felt the cold air on my face. I took one slow breath. I was not walking in to argue. I was walking in to let procedure do its job. As I entered the lobby, I saw Liam and Chloe through the glass wall near the elevators. They were already there. Chloe's hair was perfect. Liam's posture was confident. Noah stood a few steps behind them, smiling like he belonged. They turned when they noticed me. Chloe raised her hand slightly, like she was greeting a guest. I gave a small nod and walked toward the desk to sign in under my own name. I signed in under my own name. I did it slowly and clearly. The lobby guard looked at my ID, then looked at the screen, then nodded. The elevator required a code. That alone mattered. This was not a place where someone could walk in and wave their hands. Liam stood near the glass wall with Chloe and Noah. They watched me like I was late to my own appointment. Chloe kept her smile in place. Liam's jaw was tight. Noah looked relaxed, like he expected the day to go his way. Elaine Chen came down to meet us in the lobby. She wore a simple suit and carried a small tablet. She greeted me first, not Liam. She said my name and asked if I was ready to go up. Liam stepped forward and said he was here to help. He said it would be easier if he explained things. Chloe added that I was stressed and that they were supporting me. Noah said he was an advisor and that he had documents ready. Elaine listened without changing her face. Then she said the bank needed my consent for anyone to be in the meeting. She said the account holder decides who attends. She said she needed to hear it from me directly. I told her I wanted a private meeting. I said I did not approve any guests. I said I did not approve any outside advisors. Liam's eyes widened for a second. He said I was making it difficult again. He said Chloe had arranged everything. Chloe said I was embarrassing them. Noah said it was already scheduled as a family session. Elaine said policy was not based on scheduling notes. She said policy was based on consent and identity. She said the three of them could wait in the lobby lounge if I wanted, but they would not enter the meeting room without my direct approval. Liam tried to argue. Elaine did not raise her voice. She only repeated that she would follow bank policy. She asked me again what I wanted. I said I wanted the private meeting. Elaine nodded once and led me to the elevator. We rode up in silence. I could feel Liam watching my back, but I did not turn around. Chloe's perfume stayed behind in the lobby. The air in the elevator smelled like clean metal and quiet. Upstairs, Elaine walked me to a small conference room. The walls were glass with a privacy film that could shift to opaque. She closed the door and asked if I wanted water. I said yes. She placed the water in front of me and sat across the table. She said she had reviewed the notes around my appointment. She said there were multiple calls requesting urgency. She said there were attempts to add attendees who were not previously connected to my accounts. She said she needed to confirm my intent before any conversation continued. I told her my intent was simple. I said I was there to make sure my accounts stayed private, my decisions stayed mine, and my instructions came only from me. Elaine nodded and asked me to explain what changed. She said the level of urgency around my file was unusual. I opened my notebook and looked at my timeline. I did not slide it to her like a challenge. I simply used it to keep my words clean. I said I had planned a quiet family dinner after the sale. I said I left early because a security guard warned me someone had tampered with my drink while my son and his wife were on the dance floor. I said I did not accuse anyone publicly. I said I left calmly. I said 15 minutes later I started receiving urgent messages about signatures and meetings I did not approve. Elaine's eyes narrowed slightly, not with drama, but with focus. She asked me if I had saved the messages. I said yes. She asked if I had the security guard's name. I said yes. Elaine said she wanted to bring in the bank's compliance team for the next part. She said it was standard when there were signs of pressure, third-party control attempts, or unusual activity tied to a client's capacity. She said she would keep everything calm and formal. I told her that was exactly why I came. Elaine stepped out for a moment. When she returned, she brought in a second staff member with a badge that read Compliance. He introduced himself as Mr. Adler. He did not smile. He did not look unfriendly. He looked careful. Mr. Adler said he would ask a few questions and take notes. He said his job was to protect the client and protect the bank. He said he would not discuss outcomes in the room, but he would document what mattered. Elaine asked me if I wanted my attorney present. She said she saw a note that I had asked for a call option. I said yes. I said Priya Nand was ready. Elaine turned on a speakerphone. Priya joined the call within seconds. Priya greeted Elaine and Mr. Adler and said she was present as my counsel. Priya asked Elaine to confirm this was a client protection meeting and that no unauthorized party would be permitted in the room. Elaine confirmed it. Then Priya asked me one question. She asked me to state, in my own words, that I did not authorize Liam, Chloe, or Noah to act for me in any financial setting. I stated it clearly. I said I did not authorize them. I said I did not authorize any access changes, signature requests, or streamlined arrangements requested by them. Mr. Adler asked if I had ever authorized them in the past. I said no. I said I had always handled my own affairs and used professionals who reported to me directly. Elaine asked for the timeline again, with dates. I gave them. I kept the words simple. I said the dinner date. I said the warning timing. I said the message timing. I said the bank invite that appeared on my calendar without my approval. Priya then said she would provide formal documents to support my stated intent. She said the documents confirmed my control structure after the sale. She said they also confirmed that no family member had authority to make changes or request access. Elaine said she would accept them through the bank's secure process. She gave Priya an email address and a reference number. Priya said she would send everything immediately. Mr. Adler asked if I wanted a temporary hold placed on any access change requests until the review was complete. He said it was a protective measure. I said yes. Elaine asked if I wanted the 3 people in the lobby informed that they would not be participating. She said she could do it politely and simply. I said yes. I said I did not want a debate in the conference room. Elaine left the room again. Through the frosted glass, I saw movement in the hallway. I did not hear the words, but I saw Liam's arms move in quick, sharp motions. I saw Chloe step closer to Elaine as if trying to take control with her voice. I saw Noah lean in like he was trying to help. Elaine returned a minute later. Her face looked the same. She said the 3 parties had been told they were not permitted in the meeting without my consent. She said they had been asked to remain in the lounge or leave the floor. She said security at the elevator had been notified of the restriction. I took one slow breath. I did not feel proud. I felt steady. This was how adults solve problems, not with shouting, with rules. Mr. Adler said there was one more step. He said the bank needed to document that I was not under pressure in the room and that I was speaking freely. He asked if I felt safe. He asked if anyone had threatened me or tried to coerce me into signing documents. I said I felt safe in the room. I said I had been pressured by family to sign things quickly. I said I had been told I would look confused in front of professionals if I did not let Liam speak. I said the pressure was consistent and escalating. Elaine asked me if I wanted those messages added to the file. I said yes. Mr. Adler asked if I wanted to initiate a formal complaint about third-party interference attempts. He said it would be recorded. I said yes. Then Priya's email arrived. Elaine received it and opened it on her tablet. She did not read everything aloud. She summarized it in plain language. She said the sale proceeds were structured in a way that did not allow family members to claim control through rush signatures. She said my protections were already in place, and any attempt to change access would require a process that included direct confirmation from me. Mr. Adler nodded and said the bank would place an internal restriction. He said it would block any access requests from anyone other than me and my listed professionals. He said the bank would also note that the recent meeting requests were not authorized by me. He said this would prevent future surprise appointments from being treated as normal. Elaine asked me one final question. She asked if I wanted Liam and Chloe to be removed as emergency contacts in case they were listed informally anywhere. She asked if I wanted to remove any family convenience notes from my file. I said yes to both. Elaine tapped on her tablet, careful and precise. Mr. Adler watched, then added his own confirmation. It was quiet. It was procedural. It was the opposite of the noisy story Liam and Chloe tried to build. Then the door opened without warning. Liam stepped into the room, fast, before the latch fully caught. Chloe followed, and Noah was right behind them. Elaine stood immediately and said they were not permitted inside. She said the meeting was private and restricted by policy. She told them to step out. Liam said I was being manipulated. He said I was confused. He said I needed help. Chloe said I was making dangerous choices because I was emotional. Noah said he had the paperwork ready and that this could be resolved quickly. Mr. Adler spoke for the first time in a firm tone. He said the bank could not discuss a client's file with unauthorized parties. He said their presence in the room violated policy. He said they needed to leave now. Liam tried to push past Elaine's words again. He said he was my son. He said family comes first. Chloe said I would regret this. Noah said it was a misunderstanding. I did not raise my voice. I did not insult anyone. I only looked at Liam and told him I was not signing anything under pressure. I told him the bank would follow my instructions, not his schedule. I told him to leave the room. Elaine pressed a button near the door. 2 building security staff arrived within moments. They did not touch anyone. They simply stood in the doorway and asked Liam, Chloe, and Noah to step out. Liam looked at me like he expected me to rescue him from consequences. I did not move. Chloe's smile was gone now. Noah's relaxed face tightened. They stepped out. Elaine closed the door and turned the privacy film fully opaque. The room became quiet again. Mr. Adler said the interruption would be logged. He said it supported the concern about pressure and boundary violations. He said the bank would proceed with the protective restriction immediately. Elaine looked at her tablet and said the restriction was now active. She said any attempt to access, change, or request information through Liam, Chloe, or Noah would be denied. At the same time, I heard muffled voices outside the frosted wall. Liam's voice rose and fell. Then it stopped. I saw a shadow move away from the door. Elaine's tablet pinged once. She glanced at it and said Liam had just attempted to access an account portal on site through a linked device. She said it was denied in real time. I stood up. I placed my notebook back into my folder. I thanked Elaine. I thanked Mr. Adler. Priya said she would stay available for follow-up. Elaine walked me to the elevator. The lobby on the private floor was quiet. Liam was standing near the seating area with his phone in his hand. His face looked pale and tight. Chloe was frozen beside him, staring at the screen like she could force it to change. Noah had stepped back, suddenly smaller than he looked before. As I passed them, Liam said my name once, sharp and desperate. I did not answer. I kept walking. The elevator doors closed. My reflection looked calm. That was the only thing I gave them. When the elevator reached the lobby, I stepped out, signed out, and walked into the cold air. Behind the glass, I could see Liam still tapping his phone. Again and again, like persistence would unlock something that was already closed.